Megacities are basically a new concept on the world stage because we just haven't had this number of people before. Megacity, typically 10 million people or more. They're more common in LDCs here. Let's show you a map here first. This one, let me hide myself here. You can look at current megacities. Well, basically any place where you see 10 million people or more, you're looking that is where a megacity is. The orange would be in the future at 2030. And so this is, it's a rough science. There isn't a magical thing that says, hey, I hit 10 million now. Hey, that makes us a megacity. No, you need to have some of those characteristics. You can see here there's a large cluster of them in LDCs as compared to MDCs. Especially, I think this map will show that better to you. So this takes population starting in 2010 and then moves forward to show you the top 20 cities by population. Look, it's a more clustered in LDCs. And by 2100, holy cow, they're almost all in Africa. And then some still in India, although China, remember, with declining population, will not have as many. And so you're looking at the population of the world, and it's just there. And the fact that more and more people are living in these mega cities, you just see population density here at the scale of the world as well. These mega cities are taking on more and more and more people. And so that has given us more challenges. Now, why do these mega cities exist? First of all, rural to urban migration is number one, by far the biggest rate of why mega cities are growing. And part of the reason they're still growing by leaps and bounds is the higher rates of birth in LDCs. And so the rural to urban migration there is more common than what we have in MDCs. Now, what can happen with this, and I'll show you some pictures here before going through some of the challenges, so this is Dhaka, Bangladesh. Transportation of people. India is known for having some problems with this, of how to potentially solve this. That you have, this is just a train and people trying to get from point A to point B. This is São Paulo, the uneven divide, that these are squatter settlements here outside, and then you have the huge, vast city of wealth on the inside. Here's Karachi. Getting all these kids education and finding appropriate housing. And then look at the building materials here, aren't necessarily the best. This roof is literally being held down by bricks. And the last one, how about smog and pollution issues here in Beijing? Rome has a problem with garbage service, for instance. No matter what urban center you are in, they all have their own different problems. How about just water? How about just the availability of water as a huge problem, that the water is polluted, it's getting overused, things like that. How about where are all these people going to live? And that's where squatter settlements are going to come into play, and that people are building houses on their own, and the government might not necessarily have control over that area. So then who steps in? It's usually crime organizations are usually going to step in to help with that. And these are only getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. These mega cities, and there's going to be more of them. And in some ways, they are utterly disgusting. But yet, why do people move there? Because they provide job opportunities. There's a better opportunity for jobs in the mega city than there was on the outskirts. So the fact that, people are willing to risk, hey, I'm willing to be homeless to try to find a job opportunity because I have a better chance for economic success in the mega city than I do other places. Especially the rural parts of whatever country you are talking about. And so it is so there's some absolutely just disgusting parts of the city. So like in Jakarta, in Indonesia, people live underneath bridges to try to take care of themselves because the city is growing at such a wide rate. And then when at their urban sprawl, it's just the Jakarta is taking on more and more and more people and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which is urban sprawl, just as land area gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the poor people don't know where to live, so they build these settlements, some of them under bridges, some of them live on top of bridges in Jakarta. And in Jakarta, Indonesia, as a whole, is actually below sea level. So when flooding happens during the monsoon season, they have substantial problems. Now, in some cities do this better than others. So let's take Cairo, for instance. Cairo is a mega city. Cairo has water issues. I mean, the Nile and Cairo is basically being the only major population center within Egypt. How to manage the water is going to be a substantial issue in the 21st century because, I mean, you can take crime, terrorism, homelessness, whatever you want to take here, people getting around in the city. If they don't have water, it doesn't matter. And so this is becoming the fastest growing parts of the world today, and it's only going to increase with time. That's part one of this. Second part of this lecture is world cities. So world cities, cities exert influence internationally. There's usually considered that there are three, sometimes four international cities, and you can argue it doesn't really matter much to me. I just want you to know that there are world cities, and there's an urban hierarchy. And so I want you to think here, if you're watching this lecture at home or wherever the heck you're watching it, hey, okay, what would be the most important cities of the world? So economic centers, you're looking at supranational organization headquarters, political centers, things like that, and the alpha plus plus cities. So here's your urban hierarchy: alpha, beta, and gamma cities. New York and London are considered the alpha plus cities. Tokyo is no longer considered an alpha plus city. I really don't care what you consider it are. I just want you to know that there's an urban hierarchy to go through things. Yeah, and it's arguable, no question about it. It's like I would put Brussels higher than what's on here with its supranational organization headquarters that are there. Here's a look at the United States as a whole. Minneapolis, potato city, mainly due to all the Fortune 500 companies that are here. So this is just a look here at that. So the only alpha plus city being New York, and then you have a bunch of alphas and some alpha minuses. All that's going to combine together, and the last concept fourth that we need to know as a part of this lecture is megalopolises. So megalopolises gets at basically services, and so it's when you have multiple metropolitan areas that are basically combined together. And so this is where I really like this map. Okay, and so this looks at the market area of each city, but when you see the market areas overlap, then you have a megalopolis. So for instance, just take Denver. Denver is not a megalopolis because it's just Denver. Yeah, does it go down to Colorado Springs? Yes. Minneapolis? No. But when you start to see them overlap with each other, that's when you have a megalopolis. So look over here on the East Coast, Boschwash. Boston to Washington, Boston, Hartford, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC, etc. That is a megalopolis. Los Angeles and San Diego is a megalopolis. San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose is a megalopolis. Chicago, Milwaukee is sometimes considered a megalopolis. This whole area up in here usually isn't, but is getting close. The next one that people think are, you can also see down here, Dallas, Fort Worth is just considered one urban area. You got to be more than one urban area for sure. This one is getting closer. So you have Atlanta up into Raleigh, Durham through South Carolina. This one's getting close, not yet, but so for the most part in the U.S., there's typically four megalopolises. Boschwash, no questions, like definition megalopolis on the world stage. LA, San Diego, 2, San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose, 3, and Chicago, Milwaukee, 4. On the world stage, here's some others. The Blue Banana in Europe through London and all the way down into Milan. There's some other smaller ones here that most people don't consider megalopolises. This is Tokyo, Osaka, and Quito are one as well. This is all linked by high-speed transportation, and so this one you can almost see where the rail line is right here. In Canada, you have one from Quebec City down through Windsor is one as well, which would include like Toronto and Ottawa. Oh, I forgot about this one, that I added this one. The Pearl River Delta. Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Foshan, Macau. This whole area basically linked because of the Pearl River would also be included as a huge megalopolis. It says the Pearl River megacity. It's a big megalopolis right now, and I just like it because I like the chart here for you. But what do you need to know coming out of this one? You got to know definitions of megalopolis. You should know cause and effect of the world's megacities and where they're located in the world.